living on a disk, floating through space, with a tiny sun.
Hey, I'm FTFE, welcome back to the channel that does to stupidity what Anakin Skywalker did to the Jedi Daycare Center. Thank you for joining me once again for another lovely discussion about the shape of the world that we live on. You may have seen the guy that we're talking to tonight over on MC Toon's channel. Talking about MC Toon, I want to say well done yesterday on your very impressive debate against Trey Hutchinson with his Cations. That absolutely fucking killed me. Cat eye on Cation. Fucking seriously. If you haven't seen MC Toon's debates, then go and check him out. He's got a very unique way of dealing with the flat earthers. But tonight we're gonna have a discussion with Andrew Pickett. Andrew Pickett is usually around on the Facebook groups and has come tonight to have a discussion with me. Andrew, hello, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
Hey, what's going on, man? I'm doing fine.
Would you like to just take a couple of minutes, introduce yourself to the audience, and just kind of say why you think the Earth's flat? And then we can just get into a discussion about it.
Well, I think the Earth's flat simply because motion. Only people move it. The only motion here is me and you, buddy, in our conversation. I don't see a globe Earth spinning through space, hurtling 66,000 miles per hour endlessly in the vacuum of nothing. That just doesn't make any sense to me, but apparently it makes sense to a lot of people. So
is that it really? That the motion is kind of your biggest thing?
Oh, well, I wouldn't necessarily say it's the biggest thing, but it's definitely a thing.
So what is it about motion in particular that makes you think that the Earth isn't moving?
Well, the stars, you know, they tend to look like they're moving above us. It doesn't. The motion of the Earth, I don't think it has anything to do with the stars.
How do you think the stars would look from a rotating Earth?
Man, honestly, the way it's described, with the speeds, 66,000 miles an hour, following the sun at 666,000 miles an hour. You would see, I don't know, swirls. Well, not just a circular motion. You would see stars move. You wouldn't see the same constellations every night.
Well, you don't see the same ones every night. They change throughout the year, don't they? But the thing about the stars that we see at night is that they're all pretty close to us. If you think in the galactic sense, all of the stars that you can see in the night are really, really close and moving around the center of the galaxy with us. So their relative position to us doesn't really change that much. It does change over time, but you know, because they're doing the same thing as us, we don't really see that much of a change, and that's what we would expect to see. But let's focus on the motion of the Earth rather than the stars and what's out in the galaxy, because that's harder to talk about. Whereas the motion of the Earth itself is something that is quite easy to detect. So, I
mean, is it really?
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, we can't feel it, and there's a reason we can't feel it, and that's because there's nothing there's nothing in our body that is capable of detecting a constant motion. That there simply isn't any mechanism that our body could use to detect a constant motion.
If I go outside and I get inside a vehicle and I stand up inside that vehicle, I wouldn't be able to detect that motion.
If the vehicle was traveling on a completely smooth surface at a 100% constant rate, no, you wouldn't be able to feel that motion because you would be traveling at the same speed as that vehicle. Of course, if you're traveling along the road, you're going to feel bumps and sways as you go over potholes, or speed up, slow down. But if you're going on a completely smooth surface, 100% straight line at the same speed constantly, you wouldn't know. The bullet trains in Japan that go like 500 miles an hour, you can balance a coin on the table in front of you as you're traveling 500 miles an hour, because that coin is also traveling that 500 miles an hour. So there's no reason we should be able to detect the constant motion. There's simply no mechanism in our body that could tell us the difference between
So if you was
constant
to get
motion
up
and being
and
still.
walk around in that train at 500 miles an hour, you wouldn't be able to detect motion?
No, if it's perfectly straight, which the magnetic trains in Japan usually are, really quite smooth and straight, you can walk up and down and you don't feel it. It's not like when you walk against the motion, you feel like you're going slower than walking with it, because you are moving relative with that train. Now, a train in Britain that we're used to going on, you can kind of tell it's moving because it's swaying, chugga chugga. It's not as efficient as, you know, the bullet trains in Japan. But if there is complete constant motion with no acceleration up and down, then there's no reason that our body should feel it. So saying that we don't feel the motion makes sense, because there's not really something to detect that our body has the ability to. But we can measure that the Earth rotates. It's quite easy to measure that the Earth rotates.
You measure the Earth's rotation through the sun, the moon, and the constellations.
No, you can actually measure the physical motion of the Earth. Have you heard of Bob Nodell?
Shadows? What? How are you
heard-
measuring the physical movement?
Have you heard of Bob Nodell, famous flat earther?
No.
Lie about being a pilot? Well, I'm just going to play a quick video for you, because this is something that Bob Nodell did himself.
If the Earth is spinning at one rotation every 24 hours, that means that every hour it has to turn 15 degrees. And if the gyroscope is mounted anywhere on Earth, it's going to drift. In today's 21st century navigation systems, they're using what's called a ring laser gyroscope. It is extremely precise. If we could simply get one of these ring laser gyroscopes, we would be able to prove once and for all that there is no rotation to the Earth. One of the people in the community actually purchased one for $20,000. But what we found is when we turned on that gyroscope, we found that we were picking up a drift, a 15 degree per hour drift.
Yeah, thanks, Bob. Thanks very much. So what Bob used is something called an interferometric fiber optic gyroscope.
So, do they have the experiment? Do they show the experiment of that?
Well, the data for the experiment exists
claiming-
on. Bob has shown.
Gyroscope
Yeah, Bob has shown
is
the
answer
experiment
to all
on.
globe Earth problems.
So here's the thing: Bob has shown the experiment on his channel, shown that it does pick up the 15-degree drift. He had Nathan Thompson with him as they turned it on and detected the drift, and as expected. And what they're using is something called an interferometric fiber optic gyroscope, which doesn't have the ability to detect the motion of the stars or the sun or anything else. The only thing that it can do is detect the motion of something that is physically on, because it changes the path of light inside. It changes the path that light inside has to travel, making it shorter or longer and creating an interference pattern. There is nothing outside of that can see what's going on with the stars or anything. Those are literally only capable of detecting motion of something that they're physically touching, which is why they're used in every single modern aircraft in the world, 3 of them, to detect yaw, pitch and roll. And you can not only detect, one of the best things about them, and Bob showed this in his data as well, it not only can it detect the 15.04 degrees revolution per hour, but it can also detect a roughly 1 degree drift a day in a 2D plane, which represents the Earth's motion around the sun. So it can actually detect both the rotation of the Earth and Earth's orbit around our star. And it wouldn't be able to do that if the Earth wasn't moving.
Yeah, I don't know if I can believe all that, man.
How can
That
you not
sounds a
believe
little
it? The evidence is there, and this is an experiment that can be repeated by anyone. You put it on the floor, turn it on, it's going to register the drift because the Earth is rotating.
Yeah, I don't know about all that. That sounds like a fishtail, buddy.
It's not a fishtail, it's something that you can do yourself, and anyone with one of these gyroscopes can do it.
You send me a gyroscope and I'll do the test myself.
I don't have the money to buy one. If you would really like to prove it to yourself, then maybe you could go about doing that. But the fact is that this exists. These gyroscopes exist all over the world, millions and millions of them, and they all register the same thing. Pilots use them to be able to tell where they are on the planet. as they spool them up, if the data in their flight panel doesn't match what the gyroscopes say where they are, then they literally can't turn on their flight planning.
High tech one he's talking about.
Sorry?
It's like a normal gyroscope isn't going to detect it. It's got to be a certain. It's got to be like.
Actually, normal gyroscopes do as well. So there is a guy called Stephen P, who was a flat earther, and the same guy, Bob, and
what the guy was stating in the video is that he had his hands on one of these gyroscopes, claiming that this is the gyroscope, this high-tech gyroscope is the one that's needed. That could end up.
It's not the one that's needed. You can do it with a mechanical gyroscope.
Earth and globe Earth, then you'd have to have this specific kind of gyroscope to detect the 15-degree.
No, you can do it with many things. They're just particularly accurate. So as I was saying, a guy called Stephen P, who was a flat earther, was commissioned by Bob and Globebusters to build a mechanical
gyroscope. There's no such thing as a guy that was a flat earther. If he was a flat earther, he still is a flat earther.
No, there's an entire playlist on my channel where I interview ex-flat earthers, so that's simply not true.
Those ain't ex-flat earthers, man. Those are globies.
No, they're definitely ex-flat earthers. They were deep into it. Ranty who used to be Ranty Flat Earth, one of the big flat earthers, switched over.
There's no such thing as
Jose J.G. Gonzalez. Like I said, there's an entire playlist. I think 7 or 8 people that I've interviewed that were flat earthers. And Stephen P was a flat earther, and he was doing this. And Bob and Globebusters commissioned him to build a physical mechanical gyroscope to see if that would also register the motion of the Earth. And they all assumed it wouldn't, but when it was built and they used the mechanical gyroscope, it also registered the motion of the Earth. So it's not like we can just do it with these super advanced laser gyroscopes or fiber optic gyroscopes. It can be measured with a simple mechanical gyroscope. It can be measured with a simple pendulum.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Sounds a little far-fetched.
Well, that's called personal incredulity. And isn't really, it's saying, oh, I don't believe it, that sounds like a story, is the textbook personal incredulity fallacy.
If you want to tell me a story about something and you want me to believe it, then you have to present facts. And if you don't have those facts...
I've just shown the video showing that, and you can find all the data available on Globebusters' website. On FE Core's website. They have all the data publicly available for these tests. So personal incredulity isn't an argument against something. Unless you've done it yourself, you can't say that it's fake. But there are many other ways to test the rotation of the Earth. You can do it with a multitude of instruments, even something as simple as a pendulum stuck in a block of flats. I would like to present to you something by a guy called the Gentleman Physicist, who took it upon himself to measure the rotation of the Earth using some very, very simple equipment. So, this is the Gentleman Physicist, and in a local high-rise building, he attached a really, really long pendulum all the way up the stairwell, and let this pendulum... Sorry?
So it looks like a plumb bob.
No, it's a pendulum. He let this pendulum swing for a certain amount of time. Now, if the Earth is a rotating globe, as we say, then certain forces are going to be imparted onto the swinging pendulum that will cause it to drift off of its straight back and forward path. And you can even use the amount that it swings, the amount that it drifts, to calculate your latitude on the Earth. So if it's not true, then you wouldn't be able to use it to calculate where you are on the planet. So what they do is they let it swing backwards and forwards for as long as the inertia allows it to. And as you can see, it's drawing this line in the ink pot as it goes backwards and forwards. And after, I think it was 46 minutes, it's starting to stop. So what they do is they measure the angle that it is drifted. Very simple. So it's, as you can see, is a clockwise turn, which would correlate to being in the northern hemisphere. And they see what angle it's created, which in this case is about 7.89 degrees over about 46 minutes, 6.88 hours. And they do a simple bit of maths and are able to actually calculate the latitude of where this is being done. And what they find is that it matches to within about 1 degree. And this can be done anywhere on the Earth. And if you do it, say, at the North or South Pole, you would get an entire rotation in 24 hours. If you did it at the equator, you would get no rotation at all because the forces are cancelled out there. But this is literal evidence that the Earth is rotating underneath the pendulum as it swings backwards and forwards with a force imparted by the Coriolis, which creates an acceleration off of the straight line path.
How do you do that from an east and west point of view? That's more like a north and south.
No, you can do it anywhere. You can do it anywhere on the Earth. If you do it in the northern hemisphere, it's going to rotate clockwise. If you do it in the southern hemisphere, it's going to rotate counterclockwise. But you will always get this drift off the straight line path, which matches with what we would expect if the Earth is rotating. So if we are stationary, then you have to explain the results of this experiment. Why does it drift that particular way based on where you are on the Earth? Why can you use the results that you get to calculate your latitude on the planet?
I don't know, man.
Because the Earth is round.
The Earth is round.
It is. That's a smart guy there you've got.
Yeah, he likes to think so.
So, what do you think about the fact that we can make a prediction that we would expect this drift and then it happens?
Yeah,
What does that say
I
to you?
honestly don't think you can predict a
Why
circular
not?
motion.
Why can't
with
you
it.
predict? You can
It's
do a
just
simple
not
bit of
possible.
maths.
It's a flat Earth. That's why.
Well, the experiment that I've just presented would suggest that it's not a flat Earth because it has a physical phenomenon that matches the prediction of a rotating globe.
But does that physical phenomenon actually match Earth's rotation? I don't think so.
I have said that several times. Yes, it does. Which is why you can use the particular drift induced to calculate your latitude on the planet. You can do a simple bit of maths based on where the pendulum is, how much it drifts, and you can do the calculations to see that if it's a certain degree latitude, you should get this amount of drift, and it happens. That's what you should get. So there has to be a reason this happens if the Earth is flat and non-rotating. It can be explained perfectly on the go using the Coriolis force equations. That's what we expect to happen. So why does this happen if the Earth is flat and non-rotating? There has to be a reason.
Electromagnetism.
Yeah, that doesn't really happen when he's using a concrete block with a fishing wire attached. And no matter the material, it could be wood, it could be metal, it could be plastic, it could be anything. You are still going to get the same drift. If it was electromagnetism, you would have a different force imparted depending on the object. That doesn't happen.
So this drift is from the force of gravity?
No, it's from the Coriolis force, which is imparted due to the Earth's rotation.
I get 3 pieces of pizza.
I don't know, man. I'd have to think about that one.
Huh?
I don't care.
Is there any reason you could think that a flat Earth would have this happen?
Other than someone moving it and changing the direction of the pattern. I mean,
Well,
I don't know.
they show the entire thing there, and no one touches it. Well, on his channel, there's an entire
you
video
can't really-
showing it.
You can't really see that part of it, but yeah.
Yeah, well, you can go to his channel and see they've got a video showing the entire swing with nobody touching it. So, no. And again, you can't just claim it's fake without at least attempting it yourself. And that's something that pretty much anyone could attempt, really. You know? You just need a really high ceiling and create a pendulum, measure the drift. If the Earth was flat and non-rotating, the prediction on that would be that you would not get a drift of any kind. But what you find is that there is a drift. And what you find, that drift matches the predictions of a rotating globe Earth model. Ergo, the Earth can't be flat.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Earth's still flat regardless of that.
Well, then there has to be a physical explanation for that happening. That can only happen if the Earth is a rotating globe.
Yeah, I don't think so.
You got any explanation as to why you don't think so?
Not at the moment, but I will.
So that's called confirmation bias. You're going with the assumption that you're right and are looking for a way to prove yourself right instead of looking at the results of the experiment. That is
I just
very
gotta
much
look into it a little bit more and
Yeah,
make
well-
my own observation.
Your observations will match the same observations of everyone in the world that does this experiment. It's called a Foucault's pendulum because it was first done by Leon Foucault, and there's many of them in museums all around the world. Many experiments are done by physics students all the time. I've done this myself, and it works. Wherever you are on the Earth, you can use this method to calculate your latitude. And then you could look at the position of the stars and also calculate your longitude and figure out exactly where you are on the planet with nothing but a swinging pendulum and looking at the stars. That couldn't happen if the Earth is flat and non-rotating.
Man, it happens on a flat, non-rotating Earth.
You have to have a reason for it to happen.
I want to have a reason right now.
There
This
is
is
no
the first
reason for it to
time
happen on a flat, non-rotating Earth and for it to correspond to your position on the Earth. There's absolutely no
I'll
reason.
find
There's
one.
no forces that could be involved because if the Earth is flat and non-rotating, it's not imparting any forces.
It does impart in forces.
What forces does a flat, non-rotating Earth impart?
Forces.
Forces of evil?
No. No, it's the. Yeah, there wouldn't really be any forces other than just gases, protons, electrons pushing off of each other. I mean, that's really the only forces a flat Earth needs.
Yeah, but none of that can explain a calculated drift based on the position of Earth, that you are on Earth.
But that explains a lot of life.
What does it explain? What does
Protons and electrons
what does protons
pushing
and
forth off of
electrons
each other.
pushing at stuff explain
What does it
exactly?
explain?
Yeah.
I think our bodies exert energy.
Got any evidence of that?
What do you mean? You don't, my body? If I go to push this Mountain Dew bottle 1 inch, I just exerted energy.
Exerted energy. Okay, and what does that prove exactly?
It proves that protons and electrons are the force of the flat Earth.
Right, so because you can crush an iron brew bottle, that proves that protons and electrons are the force of flat Earth.
Well, it proves that
That
protons
may
and
be the
electrons
dumbest
are
thing I've ever
acting
heard.
as a force to crush something.
Sorry, say that again?
I said that's the proof that electrons and protons are the force to crush something.
Okay, so nothing to do with the muscles in your arm, contracting and
Well, that's where your protons and electrons come from. That's all.
From
It's
your
all
muscles.
built in your body.
Protons and electrons come from your muscles. Right, okay. So none of that means anything when we're talking about a moving pendulum. How does protons and electrons in your body crushing an iron brew bottle or Mountain Dew, whatever it is, how does that explain the drift induced onto a swinging body?
I wasn't really using that explanation to explain the pendulum, but the fact that protons and electrons are the force of life.
So, what force does a proton
This
give out?
explains 99, if not 100% of our life.
Yeah, those were definitely words, but it doesn't really mean anything. What is a proton?
What is a proton?
Yeah.
These are ions. Electron, proton, they're ions. They're in atoms. They have a nucleus.
Did you just say a proton is an ion? And a proton has a
and
nucleus?
Electron are both ions, yes.
No, they're not.
They're subatomic
Protons
particles.
And the subatomic particles. That's right.
Yeah.
Not ions. What charge does a proton have?
It has a positive charge.
And what nucleus does a proton have?
A nucleus is a neutral.
So a proton with a positive charge has a neutral nucleus.
A nucleus can take the form of a proton or an electron.
Just so you know, you're talking to a nuclear engineer, and I'm finding this hilarious.
So,
Yeah,
so you've never heard of the...
there is not a nucleus in a
taking
proton.
a positive or a negative charge.
Yeah,
So when
no,
I go to
a
body
proton
of
definitely
water-
has a positive charge, and an electron definitely has a negative charge, but a proton doesn't have a nucleus with a neutral charge. A
No, I
nucleus
didn't say a
is...
proton has a nucleus.
I asked you
I said the
directly, and you
nucleus
said
can
it does.
Form
And then
of
you
a
said the
positive or
electron can be
negative
in the
charge.
nucleus, which it cannot.
It's like me going to a body of water and taking an electrical line and shoving that electrical line in that body of water.
Yeah,
It's going to electrify.
yeah.
That's
so
the neutral
back
taking
to
electrical form.
back to protons and neutrons. Saying that a proton has a nucleus is completely wrong. A nucleus cannot contain an electron either. They exist, in a probability pattern outside of the nucleus of the atom. A nucleus can contain protons and neutrons. Obviously, the simplest atom in the world, the basic hydrogen atom, contains one proton as its nucleus and one electron as its orbiting partner. But anything more complicated also has neutrons, which is the thing that has a neutral charge. A proton is not anything to do with a neutral charge, and an electron could never be part of a nucleus. So pretty much everything you said there was wrong.
Well, dang.
Yeah. I went to uni for quite a long time in the Royal Navy to know these things so that I could operate nuclear reactors on board submarines. And yeah, every nuclear scientist in the world just had a small colony.
Good. They learned something then.
Wait, so you think that you could teach nuclear scientists and nuclear engineers something about nuclear physics?
I don't need to teach anybody anything. They should know it. They study it.
Yeah, and they would all say that what you said was wrong because of the fact they've studied it.
Oh.
Like
Well,
me,
on the bigger
who's
and
studied
better
it,
things,
I'm
then.
saying you're wrong.
Yeah.
So how about this? I've shown you evidence that the Earth does rotate, because it definitely does, according
I
to
wouldn't
all
say
the
evidence.
measurements. Well, no, that's exactly what it is. We make a prediction and then test the prediction, and that
Well,
gives us evidence.
It's all theory based, but yeah.
No, it's not all theory based. It's mostly maths based and physics based.
Oh, scientific theory based. There's a
well,
difference between theory and scientific.
Yeah, there definitely is a difference between a scientific theory and a theory. A scientific theory contains all the pertaining knowledge to something, all the tests and experiments and verifiable data that we could use
Sounds
to
like
consider
scientific
something.
Theory is just cherry picking its own
No,
definition.
it's exactly the opposite, actually.
Oh,
Yeah. So when you just say theory and not scientific theory, you are the one that's cherry picking, because everybody knows that a scientific theory is a particular thing. I sent you two citations on. I sent you two citations. Wait.
Combine the definitions.
I sent you two citations on Facebook about what a scientific theory is, explaining how it's very different from the layman's usage, the colloquial usage of the word theory. Science is an industry that has particular usages or in verbiage. And scientific theory in science is the highest regard that we can give something, to say it's as close to fact as we could possibly say. Because a scientific theory...
Close to fact.
Yeah, because a
Nice
scientific
there,
theory
bud.
contains all of the accumulated knowledge that we have about a subject, and is what we use to determine if it can be verified or not. So, yes,
It's only
there
accumulated
is
knowledge
the
if it's
theory
novel.
of
Other than that,
gravity.
it's just
Right, let me
accumulated.
explain. There is the theory of gravity, but that is just the explanation and the evidence behind the natural phenomenon of gravity that we see. That doesn't mean that gravity is just a theory. The scientific theory is the explanation and knowledge behind understanding what gravity is. So I've given you stuff that isn't theory-based. It's
So your understanding
physics-based.
of gravity is what?
We can get to that. I've given you what physics says would happen if the Earth is rotating, right? and evidence that
Sure.
the Earth is rotating based on measurements. And if you would like any more, you can go to
Well,
mc2.net/spin, right?
wouldn't say
So
evidence,
how
but
about
hearsay,
you present some maybe measurements of the Earth not rotating? Have you got anything like that?
Yeah, I've just listed some evidence.
Like
Like
would you
electromagnetism.
Electromagnetism isn't
Flatness.
evidence that the Earth isn't rotating. It's just a word.
Flatness. Stars rotating above us.
Yeah, that works perfectly on the globe, as I explained.
There's no globe for it to work on.
Well, that's affirming the consequent, because the evidence would suggest that there is.
Your model of a globe is nothing more than a CGI fisheye lens of flat Earth. We all know this.
Incorrect. There has been non-fisheye lens sent up by a friend of mine, and it definitely saw the curve.
There's a non-fisheye lens sent up, and it captures flat Earth.
No, exactly the opposite, actually. My friend Mr. Sensible sent up a
It's
non-fisheye
not
lens.
the opposite.
Yeah, my friend Mr. Sensible sent up the non-fisheye lens and saw the curve of the Earth himself. 36,000 feet. With a non-fisheye lens. Yeah. And in fact, if you look online, all of the videos that show a flat Earth are actually the fisheye ones. If you see a rectilinear lens with no fisheye, it shows that the Earth is curved. So, without assuming that you're right, could you please present some evidence that the Earth doesn't rotate?
I already have. I've told you.
No, just
What other evidence do you want?
a measurement would be nice.
A
Because you haven't
measurement?
presented any evidence yet. All you've said is the stars rotate, which is what we expect on a rotating globe. Then you said electromagnetism, which is a word. Well done. So how about specific evidence that the Earth is non-rotating? Like a measurement of not rotating.
Just a picture of your fisheye CGI lens.
Yeah, a picture
globe is
can't
evidence
prove
of flat Earth.
a picture can't demonstrate rotation or non-rotation in any way. Let's stick with the rotation, Andrew. Do you have any evidence, like a measurement, that the Earth is non-rotating?
Yeah, it's right below my feet.
Sorry,
The evidence is right below my feet.
your shoes, your carpet. You want to be more specific?
Well, technically, my shoes are on my feet.
Well, there's parts of them below it, but do you want to be more specific than just saying the evidence is below your feet?
Earth.
The thing that's been measured to rotate, yes. What about it?
It's never been measured to rotate.
I have specifically shown you two measurements
You've
and
given a
explained the third.
falsification of information due to your theory of science.
Science isn't a theory. Due to the theory.
Science is the falsification of information. We all know this.
Yeah, and the information that I have shown you falsifies a non-rotating Earth.
No, it doesn't. It falsifies a globe Earth.
So showing that the Earth rotates the expected amount
You
on a
haven't showed
globe.
me the Earth rotating.
I showed you two specific bits of evidence that shows it rotates.
You showed me an experiment that
do
can
you
even
have,
explain probably
Andrew, I need
multiple
to ask a
ways.
serious question. Do you have some kind of thing in your brain that prevents you from converting short-term to long-term memory? Because I just showed you two experiments that demonstrate the Earth rotates.
Yes, I know.
So, do you have any experiments and or evidence or measurements of the Earth not rotating?
Hey, Levi, you got a level?
A level won't help you with rotation.
I know it won't. It helps you with flatness of Earth.
Well, level doesn't mean flat, so no, definitely not. So, do you have any measurements of the Earth being non-rotating? As you did say, that's kind of one of your big things, and I've shown evidence that it does rotate, and you refuted it by going, "That's a cool story,
But you really
bro."
haven't shown me any evidence.
I showed you two experiments that specifically demonstrate the Earth rotates. You going "nuh-uh" doesn't stop those experiments existing, Andrew.
Well, I'm not trying to stop them from existing.
Well, then you can't deny that I've shown you them, and they demonstrate that the Earth rotates.
Earth.
They what, sorry?
I said that doesn't make them a reality of a globe Earth.
But the experimental data would disagree with you.
That's fine. It still doesn't make it correct. They can
But
disagree.
again, the experimental data would
I
disagree
can
with you.
disagree.
Well, yeah, but that would just make you wrong.
It doesn't make me wrong.
Well, the data disagrees with you. The data says you are wrong.
Science is the falsification of information.
And as I have just said, the two experiments that I have shown you falsify a flat,
Anything
non-rotating
scientific
Earth.
It's falsified.
Yeah, and I have falsified a non-rotating Earth.
No, you haven't. Not
Again, Andrew, we're not going around in circles on this. You can't just deny what you've seen. I have given you two experiments that demonstrate the Earth is rotating. So you can't debunk them by going, yeah, so what, the Earth's still flat. I have specifically shown you rotating Earth evidence. Now, I would like you to specifically show me some evidence that suggests the opposite, like a measurement or an experiment, not just nuh-uh and denial.
I was going to get a level, and that's my experiment.
A level doesn't prove anything for your point.
It does.
What would having a level demonstrate?
Huh?
What would having a level demonstrate?
Flatness.
And how would a level demonstrate flatness? Does level mean flat?
By showing level.
So, does level mean flat or does level mean level?
Level means flat.
I disagree very much, and so does every professional surveyor on the planet. The correct definition of level when referring to the correct definition of level when referring to the shape of the Earth. Andrew, sorry. No, so the correct definition of level when referring to the shape of the Earth is conforming to the curvature of the liquid parts of Earth's surface, having no part higher than another. So level just means that for an entire curve, no part of the whatever's above it will be a greater distance than the other. So level does not mean flat. If you would like 45 citations of the word level meaning curved, then go to mctoon.net/level.
I got this lecture last time.
Cool. So you know you're wrong then. You know you're wrong then. So
only one definition of level.
No, there isn't. There is many definitions of level, and the adjective when talking about the shape of the Earth is conforming to the curvature of the liquid parts of Earth's surface.
Level still is the definition of not one end higher than the other on an object.
Yep, and that can absolutely happen on a curve because both of the ends won't be any higher from the curve. At every point along that thing that's level, it will have the same distance between it and the thing below it. That can follow a curve.
The curve, the horizon is always rising.
Incorrect. So just to clarify, you have no evidence to counter my evidence that the Earth rotates.
I've already counted your evidence a bunch of times.
Again, nuh-uh and denial is not countering my evidence. I'm specifically talking about the rotation of the Earth, where I have shown you an experiment that demonstrates, following scientific method, that the Earth rotates.
That's hearsay, that's not evidence.
It's not hearsay, it's evidence that you can repeat yourself. I showed you the video of it being done. So I have falsified a non-rotating Earth, and you can't counter it. You are moving to something else by saying a level is flat.
Yeah,
which is dumb.
Said give you an experiment. That's my experiment.
So the experiment of having a level, number one, isn't an experiment, and number two, doesn't demonstrate the Earth is flat.
Can you prove that?
Yes, go to mctoon.net/level. There's 45 citations that the word level means conforming to the curvature of the liquid parts of Earth's surface. Dun, dun, dun.
Cherry picking words, man.
Sorry.
Cherry picking words.
45 citations is not cherry picking. In fact, it's the very opposite of cherry picking.
You only need one citation.
Yeah, that's called cherry picking. Just having one citation when I can provide 45. Do you know what cherry picking means? Because it means the opposite of what you think.
Level is on an object, not one end higher than the other.
Correct, and that perfectly works on a sphere.
No, it doesn't.
Yes,
because
it
there
does.
is no sphere. There has to be a sphere for that.
You are affirming the consequent again. Is fallacies and all you have? Because you're very, very bad at this.
Hey, well, let's move on to gravity then, since we can't come to an agreement.
Cool. So I've won the conversation about rotation. No worries. So what about gravity is your problem? I'm going to
what's
guess
your
that you
understanding
don't
of gravity?
understand.
What is gravity?
Gravity can be described as an attraction between all masses in the universe.
Action between all masses in the universe.
An attraction
it's a center
between
pull
all masses.
It's a center. Yeah. It's a center pull from all mass. Correct.
Yeah. As I just said, gravity can be described as an attraction between all masses in the universe.
It's the attraction between masses.
Yeah. You can describe it mathematically as Fg, the force of gravity, equals G times m1, m2 over r squared, where G is the universal gravitational constant. I'm talking G is the universal gravitational constant. M1 and M2 would be the independent masses of two bodies, and r squared is the distance between the center of those two bodies. That equation mathematically explains the attraction between all masses in the universe.
And how is gravity tested?
The Cavendish experiment is a very good way of attesting this specific attraction, because it removes the downward acceleration on Earth from the equation by measuring it in a vertical plane instead. There's also the Schehelian experiment, which kind of repeated the same thing using a mountain in Scotland. Then you've got the test of Einstein's explanation of gravity via relativity in 1919, done by Eddington. Then you've got the pound replica experiments, which show that gravity causes light to lose energy as it leaves the surface of Earth. Then, of course, you've got the LIGO institutions, which clarifies pretty much everything that Newton and Einstein ever said.
Yeah. So when we go into space, or astronauts, and they go into space, what's the distance from Earth to space?
There is no specific distance. It's kind of recognized at around 70 miles.
What's the shortest distance?
Well, again, there is no specific distance, but I mean, the FSA says that space starts at 64 miles, but most of the rest of the world says that it's around 80 miles. But, you know, it's basically when the pressure is low enough to be considered a near vacuum.
Yeah, a near vacuum. And what is a near vacuum?
Where the pressure is extremely low.
Pressure is extremely low.
So,
what does that mean? Does that mean there is no...
What does...
gas molecules?
Did you just ask me what low pressure means?
Yeah, so there's no gas molecules?
There's very low pressure, so there would be some gas, yes. In
some gas.
In free space, there's roughly 1 hydrogen atom per meter squared.
Per meter squared?
Yeah.
Well, that's quite a bit.
Not really.
Why wouldn't it be?
Because hydrogen atoms are really small.
Per meter squared?
Yeah. How many hydrogen atoms do you think could fit into a meter squared?
Oh, shoot, I don't know. Let's see.
I'll tell you, it's a number bigger than you can imagine. It's a number bigger than all the stars in the universe. It's a number bigger than all the grains of sand on Earth.
That's a lot.
Yeah, and I mean meter cubed, not meter squared.
That's a lot of hydrogen molecules per meter squared.
No. I mean, sorry. Let me correct myself. Sorry.
To be almost no.
Wait. Let me correct myself. I mean per meter cubed, not meter squared.
No correcting yourself.
Oh yeah, I can always correct myself when I misspeak, because that's what an honest person does. So I meant per meter cubed, not per meter squared. I meant
you gotta correct yourself.
Yes, because when you misspeak and you realise you correct yourself, because that's what an honest person does. So I meant meter cubed, not Andrew.
The only time you're going to correct yourself.
Andrew. I meant a meter cubed, not a meter squared. And 1 hydrogen atom per meter cubed, just 1, is practically nothing. Considering that you could fit enough hydrogen atoms into a meter cubed, that would be more than all the stars in the universe.
Yeah.
So,
okay. Man.
Yeah, so space in general is just an extremely low pressure area. So what was your problems with
Sounds
gravity
low
exactly?
pressure with all those hydrogen molecules.
Because one hydrogen atom per
Per
meter
meter
cubed
squared.
is very, very low pressure.
Per meter squared? That's a
Meter
lot.
cubed. No, one hydrogen atom per meter cubed. And you think that's a lot.
I think per meter squared is a lot.
Meter cubed. Let's say it correct, meter cubed. Because you can't
You already
describe
messed up.
you can't describe a volume in squarage. You know that you can only describe an area. If you want to talk about a volume, then obviously you need to use meter cubed. Obviously, I misspoke and I said squared instead of cubed because
you
I
misspoke,
talk to
buddy.
idiots all day and that hurts my brain. But there is gas in space. Hydrogen, being the most common atom and molecule in the universe, exists throughout the entire universe. In free space, there is roughly one hydrogen atom per meter cubed, maybe even less. But that is not a lot, considering in a meter cubed volume, you could fit more hydrogen atoms than a number you can imagine. But there is only one, which means there isn't very much gas in space. But again, what is your problem with gravity?
My problem with gravity is it just doesn't work, man.
And how doesn't it work?
You can't have a constant force on all mass.
So the force is
A
proportional.
positive pull from all mass without
Yep.
having any kind of negative effect.
What would you describe as a negative effect?
Like I told you, electromagnetism is the perfect explanation for.
No, that doesn't
everything.
answer the. Pay attention. What would you describe as a negative effect of gravity?
It's a push.
Yeah, okay, but you said that there would be a negative effect of everything being attracted to each other. Could you please describe this negative effect?
It's a push on objects, not just a pull.
That's not
You're
a
saying,
negative
you're saying
effect.
gravity is a constant force, and that's not
Gravity
true.
is an
There's more
attraction.
forces than
Gravity
just
is an attraction between objects that is
It
proportional.
is an attraction, but that attraction is a force.
There is a force of gravity which can be described as the attraction, yes, but the attractive force is proportional to the object's masses and inversely proportional to the distance between their centers, which
Yes,
perfectly
and it also
matches with what
affects-
we see. And
and-
just to cut
Gravity
you off
affects
because you're
all
going to say something
mass,
dumb.
No matter the size of the mass.
Andrew, just to cut you off because you're going to say
the
something
same.
dumb.
It's like dropping a feather
Andrew,
in a bowling ball in a zero-G room.
stop.
They both fall
Andrew,
at the same rate.
Andrew, stop. Just to stop your stupidity there, electromagnetism can't explain gravity because it would impart a different force on all objects. Now, onto a feather and a bowling ball falling at the same speed in a vacuum. That is exactly what we expect to happen. Because
In space.
in a vacuum.
Yeah, so in space is the vacuum, correct?
Well, space is an extremely low pressure area, and things would
And what do you
fall
consider vacuum?
accelerate at a constant rate. But let's, for instance, talk
constant
about
rate.
the.
And no matter the size
you're
of the
gonna need
mass,
to stop interrupting.
all
You-
mass falls
Yes.
at that constant rate, just
Yes.
like the feather in the bowling ball.
Yeah, so let's talk about the feather and the bowling ball, which they dropped on the moon, which is a near vacuum, right? And both of them accelerated at the same velocity, at the same, and hit the ground at the same time. That's what we expect with gravity because F equals ma, right?
That's
Force
what you
equals.
expect with the planets and the stars.
Let me explain, right? F equals ma, so force equals mass times acceleration. Okay, so both those objects have a particular mass with a constant acceleration acting
is
on
no
them.
acceleration in
Let me.
gravity.
I'm speaking, right? Both of those objects have a mass, and they both have an acceleration towards the ground that is the same, right? So from the mass and the acceleration, you can then calculate the force. So for both of them to accelerate at the same time, one of them has to have a higher force if it has a higher mass, which is the case because a bigger thing like the bowling ball will weigh more because it has a higher force even though it has the same acceleration. So the force will be stronger, but the acceleration will be the same, which is what we expect.
That's fine, but it doesn't still, in the vacuum of space,
Yeah.
everything should fall like the bowling ball and the feather, no matter the size of the mass, no matter the force.
Yeah, and they do.
Oh, so asteroids barrel past us?
Well, they have other gravitational influences on them as well.
There is no other gravity. There's only one gravitational pull. There's not other gravitational.
No, every bit of mass in the universe has its own gravitational field. So there is an attractive force from every bit of mass in the universe.
But all mass in a vacuum fall at the same rate.
Correct,
So
because
if
of the
space is a
attractive force.
vacuum, then the planets inside the vacuum, along with the asteroids inside the vacuum, should fall like the feather in the bowling ball.
And they are orbiting the Earth with the sun with the same forces applied. Yes. So I think your problem here is that you think space would just have a universal down, whereas when you see the experiments of a bowling ball and a feather falling at the same speed, they're done under Earth's gravitational influence, or on the moon's gravitational influence, for instance. Just in free space, right? Let's say there's no other masses around that are strong enough to exert an influence on some other masses. Those things aren't just going to accelerate for no reason if they don't have a force, a strong enough force acting on them because they're too far away from things. As soon as an object gets to within a gravitational field of something that is much bigger, it will then accelerate based on the mass of the object that it is accelerating towards. If it's a heavier thing, if it's a bigger thing, it will accelerate at the same speed, but that means it has a higher force. That's why when a fat ass like me gets on a scale, it registers higher than when someone who knows how to control their eating steps on it. Here's the thing, Andrew. Your ignorance of physics is not an argument against it. If you understood the equation Fg equals gm1 m2 over r squared, you wouldn't be saying such fucking stupid shit.
Man, it doesn't sound like you know anything about gravity.
Well, I know quite a lot about gravity because my physics degree helped with that.
You've literally just debunked gravity.
I literally didn't. What I described exactly follows Fg equals gm1 m2 over r squared. Yeah. And Newton's laws of motion, F equals ma.
With smaller mass can fall at a faster rate.
No, with larger mass, I said. No, I said it the other way. I said the other way round. Maybe you are hard of hearing, I'm not sure. So, Andrew, I've got a couple of questions for you quickly. So, if I have a triangle, right, and that triangle's got sides of 1, 1, and 1, what would the internal angles be?
What would the internal angles be?
Yeah.
You mean like how many angles are there on a triangle?
I'll say it again. I've got a triangle of sides 1, 1, and 1. What would the internal angles of that triangle be?
Oh, the degrees?
Yeah.
45-degree angles.
How many angles are there in a triangle?
I think you could put a 45-degree angles and a 33-degree angle together.
45, 45, and 33. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
How many angles are there in a triangle? How many degrees in a triangle in total? Yeah, how many degrees in a triangle in total?
Try. 3?
No, how many degrees in total in a triangle?
How many degrees total?
Yeah.
Depends on how you look at it.
Not really. A triangle, a non-spherical triangle will always have the same amount of degrees in total. Do you have any idea what that is?
No. Explain.
I mean, my 8-year-old daughter knows this. 180 degrees in a triangle, right? Always.
Oh yeah.
And unless it's a spherical triangle, which surveyors use and will have more, right? So if there's 180 degrees in a triangle, and you said that the degrees are 45, 45, and 33, that doesn't really add up, does it?
Well, it depends on how you draw the triangle.
No matter how you draw it, 45, 45, and 33 is never going to add up to 180.
Oh.
Oh, indeed. Right, so,
What are you doing?
He's chilling with me. He's on candid camera.
So,
Hey, Jax, you don't want to see your ugly face?
Man, I wish there wasn't a kid there. So, 10 to the negative 17 is a number that's used quite often. Is it 10 to the negative 17? Is that a positive or a negative number?
What's a positive? 2? Yeah.
No, 10 to the negative 17. Is that a positive or a negative number?
That's a positive number.
Oh, well done. One out of 2. That's 50%. Right, so you don't understand gravity, you don't understand triangles, you don't understand rotation.
There's a lot I don't understand, it sounds like.
Clearly, and you think that could have anything to do with you thinking that the Earth is flat?
I don't think it had to do with me being indoctrinated with a globe model.
No, no one gets indoctrinated, you just have education. For instance, you don't go into a physics course being told, this is the globe, you must learn about the globe. You go into a physics degree and learn how to figure out these things for yourself. And everyone in the world that has a physics degree knows that the Earth isn't flat. Why do you think that is?
Man, they probably just don't know.
Even though they're the ones that understand physics.
Physics of a globe Earth?
No, just physics in general.
Yeah.
Yeah, so everyone that has qualifications in physics, literally everyone, knows that the Earth is a globe.
Well, if they're claiming it's a globe, then they're wrong.
But they're the ones with the physics knowledge, so you think
don't
maybe
you
they
think
might
so?
know more?
Wouldn't that wouldn't you think that?
I know the Earth's a globe because I've studied physics, and physics tells us that the Earth is a globe.
Parts of physics may say that, but that doesn't
No,
mean
all
parts
of
physics
physics,
are correct.
all of physics tells us that the Earth is a globe. There isn't
No, it
any
doesn't.
physics that work on a flat Earth.
Yeah, I don't know about all that, man.
I'm aware you don't know. I really, really am. So, seriously, if there's no evidence that the Earth is flat, if we can measure a curve
plenty of
and we
evidence.
can measure rotation, why would you think the Earth is flat and non-rotating?
I told you. I've given you a demonstration of
You're not-
gravity and how it doesn't work on your model.
Gravity works fine on the globe Earth model. I just explained that to you. You not understanding it doesn't mean it doesn't
Your
work.
experiment showing a feather and a bowling ball falling at the same rate in a simulated
Matches the predictions of gravity
Room.
that we have, yes.
vacuum room, which simulates space.
No, it doesn't simulate space.
Says it does too simulate space.
No, it doesn't simulate space. It just creates a near vacuum. It's nothing. It doesn't simulate space because gravity is
A
it's
near
got the gravity of
vacuum
Earth.
is space.
No, it's not.
You've even
Space
stated a near
is
vacuum.
any
Space is
any
anywhere
vacuum is not
near vacuum.
just considered space. All right, and we're not creating vacuums chambers on Earth to simulate space. We are just trying to remove variables like atmospheric drag and stuff. It does not simulate space simply because it becomes a vacuum. That's really dumb.
Okay, sure, man.
And the ball and feather falling at the same rate in a vacuum is what we expect with gravity, with a stronger force being imparted on the thing with more mass to make sure the acceleration between them stays the same, which is why the bowling ball will weigh more than the feather.
Yep.
Yeah, so again, that is what we expect with gravity. You not understanding it doesn't change anything.
I do understand it.
Clearly
I
not.
understand it enough to know.
Right, okay, if you understand it then, I've said it a few times during this conversation. What is Newton's universal law of gravitation?
Mutants?
Fuck's sake. What is Newton's law of universal gravitational attraction?
There is no law of gravitational attraction.
Newton, who created the law, would very much disagree with you. And if you say you understand gravity, you would know Newton's law of universal gravitational attraction, which I have said at least 4 times during this conversation.
People write a bunch of things people say a bunch of things like
No,
you're doing.
he observed
It
something,
doesn't
described it
prove
mathematically,
to be a
and
fact.
you can use it to make calculations and predictions.
No, you cannot.
You absolutely can. Yeah, Wisconsin, I'm trying to be relatively nice because he has a child with him.
Hey, he's heard it all.
Yes, but normally I
Don't
would
shy your
be
way-
calling you a lot of
Don't
really...
shy your way out of this one, buddy. Hey,
Yeah, I have a moral compass that would not allow me to act the way that I normally act with idiots like you in front of a child.
oh, well, thanks. Well, thanks.
It's okay, just don't ever teach that child the earth is flat because that is basically child abuse.
I don't teach him anything.
Well, I'm glad about that. I really, really am. So, simple question. Do you have any measurements that could suggest that the Earth is flat and non-rotating? Actual proper scientific measurements.
Oh!
Let me think.
I'm going to answer for you. The answer is no. Because there aren't
Oh.
any. None at all. Ever, anywhere. Do you want to know why? Because the Earth's not fucking flat, dude.
Man, that would be nice if it was.
I mean, it would be dumb if it was because reality would be broken.
There's no reality in a globe.
Oh, there is, absolutely.
It's an illusion.
I think your brain may be an illusion. So I've got another little video I'd like to show you from... you ever heard of Jeranism?
I don't know. No, I've never. Yeah, I think no. No, I haven't heard of Jeranism.
Big flat earther, doesn't like me very much, spends a lot of time slagging me off on baby conspiracy boomer show. Here's a little video that he made.
If you're seeing through this hole, through the next hole, and seeing the light at the backboard, or at 17 feet off the water, the Earth is flat. If he's holding it up at 23 feet high and we're seeing the light, well, that's because the Earth's curved. So I should only be able to see it when it's at 17 feet. Okay, go ahead and drive down there, Enrique. You're going to hold the light there. Enrique, how high is your light?
17 feet.
I mean, you know, it's as, we don't see you, Enrique. Lift up your light way above your head.
Ready, everyone?
Interesting.
Interesting. So the Earth's flat. Why did he measure it as being curved?
He didn't.
He just did. I just showed you a video of him doing it.
The Earth's not a ball, man.
I
You're
mean,
delusional.
the measurement there would disagree with you.
No, it doesn't.
It literally does. It shows that it's curved.
How?
Did you watch the video that I just showed you, or were you not paying attention?
Yeah, I watched it. So how does it show a curve?
Because it shows that the light, the holes between the boards didn't match because the two either side were lower down. So you actually had to lift
Lower
this
down.
light all the way up for it to be able to be seen over the curve because of how far away he was. I mean, it's amazing that you could literally watch that and not understand. Do you wear a crash helmet when you go outside?
No, I risk it.
Maybe there was a point when you were a kid that, like, you know, I don't know, you fell under a truck and the wheels crushed your skull or something.
Yeah, because it looks crushed.
I mean, did your parents confuse formula with lead paint, possibly?
What's his name?
Possibly, man.
What's his name?
Craig McNeil.
Yeah, it's not a rat.
Nice.
Jackson, just put this pizza box. Huh? Yes, I
Right.
did.
I mean, I don't know where to go with this conversation because you haven't got any evidence and your only rebuttal is, nuh-uh, it's not a globe. Which is dumb.
Yes, I did.
I mean, I've given all kinds of evidence.
You've given nothing. You had a level.
My sister's
Which
so
works on a globe.
loyal.
You not accepting that evidence is
You didn't
willful
show any
ignorance.
evidence, Andrew. Maybe evidence doesn't mean the same thing to you as it does to the rest of the world.
What is evidence exactly? Is it proof of your claims?
No, it's evidence of your claims.
Yeah,
Evidence
so
is
it's
literally
proof.
the word. No, proof isn't a thing in science. It's evidence
Proof.
to support your claim.
Proof is evidence.
No,
And
proof
without
doesn't.
evidence,
Proof
you have
doesn't
no
exist
proof.
in proof doesn't exist in science.
Yeah, because it's the disproof of everything, correct?
It's the the falsification of null hypothesis, or the verification of a
Falsification
hypothesis.
Information.
Yeah, it's not proof. Proof comes with
The lack
mathematics.
of evidence.
Proof
Because
comes from
is no
mathematics. You
evidence.
know that. Well, apart from all the evidence I've shown you, of course,
No proof.
the two experiments of rotation, and the third done by Stephen P with the mechanical gyroscope,
Right.
the measurements of curve done by
There's
Darwinism there,
evidence
the
of a
fact that
ball.
all surveyors in the world measure the Earth as curved. I've got a friend called PhD Tony, whose job was literally to use gravity to find minerals and oil underground. If gravity didn't exist, he couldn't do his job.
Gravity doesn't exist.
Then he couldn't have done his job. Which he's
Objects
paid a lot of
fall
money
and
for.
rise due to its relative density and buoyancy.
Buoyancy
Has nothing to do with
Buoyancy
gravity.
is actually a consequent of gravity, because
Gases rise.
do you
due to
know,
buoyancy.
Andrew? Do you know the equation for buoyancy?
No.
Why not?
What is it?
Why don't you know it? Oh, you're talking about
The
buoyancy.
equation
You should
does not
understand
have
it.
gravity in it.
It absolutely does. Yes, it does.
I know it does, but it's not part of the equation.
Oh no,
You
it
can-
absolutely is. You cannot calculate a buoyant
Density
force
works
without
just
gravity.
fine without gravity.
No, you literally can't calculate a buoyant force without gravity. Because it's part of the equation for buoyancy. FB, the force of buoyancy, equals rho vg. Rho being the density of the medium it displaces, v being the volume, and g being gravity. You cannot calculate a buoyant force without gravity.
Yes, you can.
And density isn't a force, it's just amount of stuff compacted into a certain
Density
area.
is the force.
No, density isn't a force. Density is just the amount of stuff.
Okay, sure, man.
Right, so Earth's not flat. Cool.
Well,
You may be
Craig,
one of the
I think-
slowest that I've spoken to.
well, that's all right. Hey, I think we're gonna have to cut it short, man.
Yeah, it's probably a good idea because your stupidity is hurting my brain.
Well, thanks for that.
No worries. Please don't breed anymore.
I appreciate the honesty, buddy.
I mean, if I see an
Hey.
idiot, I'm going to call him an idiot, and you, sir, are a fucking idiot.
I know. I can't disagree with that, not one bit.
And it just so happens that all the people that think the Earth's flat are also idiots. Maybe that tells you something.
Yeah. That's called personal incredulity.
No, that's really not, and that's not how you say that word.
Okay, sorry. Craig.
See you later, fail. Fuck me, he was dumb. I wanted to be meaner to him, but he had kids there, so I couldn't. Oh, a proton, it has a nucleus. Oh, guys, if you misspeak, you're not allowed to fucking correct yourself. You just have to stick with the thing you got wrong, apparently. Jesus Christ. Okay, super chat time. Oh, guys, on Friday, right, and I promise this is going to happen on Friday, I'm going to do a community stream and hopefully release another episode of Flerfs with Idiots just after. Because I'm trying to bash out a really quick one. That sounds wrong. Because Jake the asshole really, really wants to fight me after my last video that had him in it. So I instantly, he made a response to me where he basically challenged me to a fight because, you know, when you don't have an intellectual argument, you resort to violence. And even though he knows I'm a disabled military veteran, he still wants to fight me. I've told him, you know, come to Scotland, let's do it. But I have quickly scripted a response to him, which I'm going to try and get out of video as soon as possible. It normally takes a lot longer for me to produce the videos, but I'm going to try and do this. And after the community stream on Friday, hopefully there should be the new episode of Flerfs Are Idiots. Flat Earther wants to fight me. Jake the Asshole is super, super triggered. Check out his video about me. It's absolutely fucking hilarious. Yeah, I want my brain cells back as well, Technics, definitely. Right, guys. There was like 720 it peaked at. That's amazing. Thank you very much, everyone, for watching. Seeing you here blows my mind every time. A whole bunch of super chats to read out as normal, and I just want to say that your support is everything. I will never charge for my content. There's never going to be a paywall. I don't want to do members only videos because I don't want to put a paywall behind my content. I will try and do some extra stuff for members, like release videos early and stuff, and do some maybe streams and things like that. But I don't ever want a paywall on my content, so you're never going to have to pay for what I do. Which means that the super chats and the memberships mean so much to me because you're just giving it to me to support what I do, and that blows my mind. If you're not able to support me financially, the absolute best way that you can help my channel is by sharing what I do on Facebook and Twitter. I get so much of my views from Facebook and Twitter. Or you could be Simon Dan and promote my video, because that always helps. Cheers, Dan. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Mr. X, Mr. Y says you shouldn't promote Flat Earther videos. You're right, I shouldn't, but it's more to laugh at him. Download the video so he doesn't get the view. Pivot Croy for €5 says, wouldn't expect Pickett to be able to paint a picket fence, let alone prepare arguments, which requires actual time and attention. Lord Luminous Pooh, $5. During adult fun time, my girlfriend said, I want you to hurt me. So I said, your sister is more successful than you and I don't like your new haircut. Don't do that to a woman. Someone asked me once, do I like any dangerous sports? I said, well, I like to disagree with my wife sometimes. My wife is my rock. I've been with her like coming up for 20 years, and we've been married for nearly 15. And her and I are going to start a podcast soon, which maybe once every couple of weeks, and I think you're going to enjoy that. More Stalker for £2 says, so we're going with the same crap, different day. See the description of this video. Tim Tully, $5, rotates once per day, revolves around the sun once a year, revolves around the galaxy every 200 million years. Think about it, Andrew. That's not something he's capable of doing. Mr. Unite for the Children, $2, litmus test, what is occasion? Oh my god. If you didn't see MC Toon's stream last night with Trey Hutchinson, fucking classic. He doubled down so hard. Brad Dubay, Eric's smarter cousin, says for $5, Andrew's science tolerance stops at the science book cover. It stops at him ever touching a book, I think. Mikey Riot, £2. I don't know about all that. Well, then what do you know? Exactly. Conor Silver for $5. Here's a $5 to kickstart Asshole Jake's hospital fund after you kick his ass in the brawl he wanted to fight against you, FTFE. Here's the thing, right? If Jake wants to fight me, then I'm here. I'm in Scotland. There's a gym here that will host it. They even work with Street Beefs in America, which he wants to use. You come to Scotland and this disabled military veteran will step in the ring with you. I get to use my walking stick, though. Yeah. I get to, as this is what I need to walk, I get to use it in the fight, Jake, alright? You only get to use your working legs and arms. I get to use the thing that helps me walk. How about that? Big man. Huh? Eon Dust for $5 says, I don't want to be mean. No, actually I do. He ain't very good at this. Surely there must be something else happening up there. There's clearly fuck all happening up there. Indie Tiger, $5. I navigated ships in the Navy. Me too. Ships make predetermined course changes in the open ocean to follow the curve of the Earth. Yes, they fucking do. Crimson Fang, $10. Thank you very much. Andrew, duh, Earth flat. FTFE. Here's actual physical, tangible, repeatable proof that you're wrong. Andrew, nuh-uh. FTFE, why? Explain. Andrew, because it's flat. Everyone in chat. Yeah, Really should put facepalm warnings at the beginning. I'm sorry, everyone. Golden Knight says, can we call you Craig House now? Yeah, absolutely. Digger Evans says that he'll arrange someone to fight him on my behalf. I've actually had several people say that they will fight him on my behalf. And if Jake accepts a champion getting in the ring for me, there was a female that was willing to do it. And I would love to see his ass get beaten by a girl, because we all enjoy flat earthers getting beaten up by girls, don't we? Please tell me I have that clip. Please tell me I have that clip. Oh, no, I deleted it. Where? Crap, I don't have the clip of right the hand getting beaten up by a girl. Matt Klein says he'd be my proxy as well. Yeah, I tell you what, everyone who wants to fight in my place, send me a clip of saying that you're fighting my place. In fact, right, anyone who wants to fight in my place against Jake and wants to be in my video on Friday, send me a clip of you saying that you'll do it. Try and be funny or something, I don't know, right? Email it to fighttheflatearth@gmail.com. Could one of my mods that's in Discord, like, ask everyone if they want to do that as well? If I can get a few videos of you guys saying that you're stand-in for me in the fight, I'll put it in the video that I'm trying to release on Friday. Okay? Balthazar 228499 says, I heard Flat Earth isn't getting off the ground anytime soon. No gravity, no. Connor Silva for $5. Electrons cause a capacitive flux in the chronotons of the quantum isogravimetric resonance field. Don't you know anything about physics? Lol. Yeah, obviously that's just, you know, the higher physics I never touched, the Dr. Wibbly Wobbly Time Wimey physics. See Mitch Play, $5. Ask him how to pronounce cation and anion. Cation and anion. Brad Dubay, $10. FTFE, here's $10 towards your medical bill from wearing out your facepalm protection. Andrew clearly is a test of patience with his inability to be electoral. It's fighttheflatearth@gmail.com for my email, Philosopher King Gaming, thank you. Eon Dust, $5. No wonder he doesn't know how protons and electrons work. He can't even work out how to use a light. King Conquest, $19.99, thank you. Can we at least get CGI image of the entire flat Earth from above? Can someone model it and make it work in a simulation? Show me a working flat Earth that I can manipulate and investigate. I don't understand how it works. It's because it doesn't. People that tried to make a flat Earth model then left flat Earth. Johnny Own Music for €4.99. Where do you find these? Is there a casting or something? I searched the bowels of the internet for the dumbest people on the planet. King Conquest, $4.99. All flat earthers are posed who are just wasting time arguing nonsense they don't even believe. A lot of them are. Absolutely. But I think Andrew's that dumb. Stringer News $1, $2. Call this guy a safety knife, because he sure is dull. Ba-dum-sh. Stringer News $1, $2. I've seen burnt out bulbs that are brighter. Don't be mean to burnt out bulbs. Aeon Dust, $5 Australian. No offense, sweetie, but I ain't choosing you for my quiz team. Connell Silverfair for $2 says, ask him if he thinks 10 to negative 17 is a negative number. He got that one right, surprisingly, but definitely not fucking triangles. More Stalker for £2 says, I guess IQ points can go into the negative then. King Conquest $4.99 says, he gave you brain damage, fight. Flat Earthers do that. Yes, you're right. William Foley, $5. I should have loaned him Riley's triangle calculator. Riley never got it to work, remember? Design Song 1, $5. If O, indeed, isn't on the t-shirt of a smug face FTFE by the end of the week, I'll walk away from this community. I am putting together some new t-shirts, so we'll see. Bradley Bay, $5. Spaceballs is actually a documentary about the vacuum of space. Suck, 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 suck. Indie Tiger, $10. I'm a professional engineer with a specialization in civil engineering. If everything I learned, which is based on the globe, is wrong, why do the things I design work? Because you were indoctrinated, obviously. Stringer News 1 for $2. The inventor of the fake Newton. Whoa. When I asked him Newton's law of gravitation, he said, mutant what? J Mike's Movie Nights, $4.99. I really feel sorry for this guy. He cannot be helped. Don't feel sorry for stupidity. Just laugh and point at it. Wow. So many super chats, guys. Thank you. Connor Silver for $2. Andrew, do us all a favour. Never breed again. Surprised his personality wasn't a effective contraception. Jake the surgeon, $5. He brought a king cobra venom, was Botox, and the neurotoxin fired his frontal lobe. Something certainly fried his brain, that's for sure. Bill McGuire at $5. This is hip hop hippie level stupid. Yes, hip hop hippie, because we all know you watch every single one of my fucking debates and you will comment something stupid in this like you normally do. You're the dumbest person on the planet, hip hop hippie. The dumbest. Technics 1 for $2 Canadian. I want my brain cells back. I'm sorry, cannot do that. Crimson Fang, who upgraded his membership to become a destroyer. Thank you very much. Facty, $2.79 Canadian, says, Andrew the Flatard, too stupid to be a Flatard. He's so wrong, he's not even wrong. Indie Tiger, $5. Well, Craig, that was something. Not sure what, but something. I agree, it was certainly painful something. Eddie Reese, $5. Proud member, thanks for the laughs and education. Your support means the world, thank you very much. Stringley's one, $2. Andrew's EEG is flat and station. Connor Silver for $5. I'm a white belt in karate. I think I'm too much for Jake the asshole. He really should fight someone more in his league, like a toddler. Crimson Fang, $2. Andrew would lose a spelling bee against a rock. And last one from Average Joe, £5, says, sadly, all the Flerfs might have bigger problems to address. They're all just fucking idiots. Thank you guys. Thank you for watching and enjoying the show as normal. I always have fun speaking to these idiots, even if I do go to bed with a fucking headache. If you want to be in my video, which I hope to release on Friday, then you've got like 24 hours at the most to get me a video of you saying that you will accept Jake's challenge to fight me on my behalf. Try and make it funny, make out that he's a baby or something, and then send it to FTFE, send it to fighttheflatearth@gmail.com, or put a link in my Discord or something, or tag me on Twitter, or on Facebook, or TikTok, or Instagram, or all these things, you know. And I'll pick some of the best ones and I'll put them in the video on Friday. John Tucker for $9.99 says, outro interrupt. Haha, I hadn't started it yet, so you lose, but thank you for the money. Near Cole, $5. The only reason I show up here is the hopes that I can learn something that the Flerfs can't. Everything. The Flerfs can't learn anything, so anything you learn is more than they've ever learned. But that's going to be it for tonight, guys. I will see you on Friday for a community stream featuring Draco Fire, Fashanti, maybe Johnny O, and a few others that would like to join. We're going to go over some comments about me from Jake and his crew, and we're going to go maybe play a little bit of a game before I release my new video on Friday. And then I've got another debate on Saturday with WhatsApp, who pulled out last week because of some family issue. So that's coming up. I hope you all had a good time, and I will see you all later. Remember, stupidity is not a right. Fight the flat earth.
Fight the flat. 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 Fight the flat.
Oh, and on a serious note, rest in peace, OPT lawyer. You'll be missed. You're an awesome person. Good night, everyone.